I just got home from an all-day documentary shoot at Stanford University. So right now I'm going to walk you through my exact process for backing up and organizing all of that footage as I move into my editing software. I'll go over the hard drives I use, the nifty software programs I have to make sure I don't lose any footage, and the folder structure I use to organize my footage at the start of each new project. And at the end, I'll share what I have in this backup kit to make sure I'm always prepared to ingest and backup footage in the field. As you can tell from that intro, this video is for my filmmaker friends out there who are in the weeds, those who don't overlook the details because they know that on these big filmmaking projects, if you don't have your backup system on lock or your folder structures dialed, those seemingly small issues will turn into a lot bigger ones down the road. So here we go. I always want to bring you into the actual projects I'm doing so that you know everything on this channel is grounded in real world professional experiences. And I just shot about 500 gigs of footage on this short documentary featuring a Stanford class. My memory cards are still in my cameras. I'm breaking out some new hard drives today and I'm gonna walk you through the process. And I'm even going to wear this goofy GoPro head cam to make this radically wild topic just a tad more interesting. All right, let's do it. We're gonna start today by talking about hard drives because I just filled up a hard drive, and so I'm gonna be putting this new project that I just shot into new hard drives for backup. So this hard drive is the one that I just wrapped up here and is labeled CAL, and then I have a date range. So CAL is my naming convention with all my hard drives, meaning that I start labeling a new hard drive based on the next letter in the alphabet and it being an animal. So since I started this hard drive naming convention, this is my third hard drive. And so after I fill it up, I then write on the hard drive the dates of material on that hard drive. And I'm gonna break out my new hard drives, which are these X9 Pros. These are solid state drives. So I always buy hard drives in pairs of 2, and that is because I always need to have an exact clone of the hard drive in case one breaks. So always want to have 2, and I just get 2 of the same. I kind of like look out for when there's going to be deals on Amazon or B&H, and these are the current drives I'm using, these Crucial X9. So let's start this process here. I am going to choose my animal name, duck. I love ducks. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna plug in my hard drive, and I am going to format my drive. The way I do this is I go to Disk Utility, I go over to Erase, and then I go to APFS, being a Mac user here, and I am going to label this hard drive duck. Okay, that is finished up, and then I'm going to eject that hard drive for a moment. Then I'm gonna get my second hard drive here and label it duck backup, and then I'm gonna go through the same process. I feel so goofy with this on my head. Once I have a hard drive and a hard drive backup made, the next thing I'm gonna do is use my first piece of software that I think is really neat that I don't know if many people know about. So this software is called Carbon Copy Cloner. And what you'll see right here is this is a software that will essentially take a hard drive and then clone it to a second hard drive. Before I had this software, what I'd do is I'd put all my footage on one hard drive and then I would like drag and drop it to another. But, inevitably, I want to delete one file here or pull down a project here, and I don't want to have to go find that in my backup hard drive. What essentially this software does is that takes care of that business for me. This is unsponsored. This is just something I've been using for years now that mirrors or clones one drive to the next. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna set up a backup task. I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna create new backup task, and I'm gonna put duck backup task. Then I'm gonna go to source, being the duck hard drive, and the destination where this duck hard drive is going to be cloned to is going to be duck backup. And then when it comes to how often that backup is going to occur, I go over and put this to when source or destination is remounted. I say to ask for confirmation before proceeding. And that essentially means anytime the duck hard drive disk and the duck backup hard drive disk are both connected to the computer, a pop-up menu will ask me, do you want to clone? And I just say yes. And then the duck hard drive will be cloned to the duck backup hard drive. Super important step in my process. The next thing that I'm going to do in my backup process is start a folder for this project that I can put my footage from the shoot into. The way that I typically structure my hard drives is I have three main categories. I have videos, photography, and photography selects. So this is a video project, and so I'm going to name this video project, and I always use this naming convention, 2024, or my year first, 08, and then 14, and then I'm gonna give the project a name. So let's go Stanford D School XR class. So now I'm going to copy my folder template into that parent folder, and I'm gonna walk you through what each of those little folders are. Again, we're in the weeds here. The first is I have Premiere. This is where I put my project from Adobe Premiere, save it into this folder. The next I have is clips. That's where I'm going to be backing up my footage today. But not only is it just clips, I have a bunch of subfolders in clips. And I have a folder for behind the scenes footage. I have a folder for client assets. So if I'm working with a client and they've given me things that they want to put in the video, I'll put it there. High res, that is where I put the clips that I have filmed. I'll go into there. Prototype, this is an area where if I've done prototypes of the stories and I'm filming clips with an iPhone or doing Zoom interviews and things like that to test out the story structure before I've got on site to film, I'm gonna put them in prototype. Proxies are where I make the proxy files of the high res footage. Then I have any screen captures, like how I'm capturing the screen right now, and then any stock footage. We go down to audio. This is for any sort of ambient audio that I captured, natural sound. It could also be sound effects that I'm using in the project. We have music. Oops, got my numbers off here. We have graphics, images, and deliverables. The only other folder that has subfolders is deliverables. So we have high res, which is the final product that goes to publish or the client. Then we have prototypes. So these are my version 1, version 2, version 50, those kind of things. And then we have social media exports, things that I'm going to publish on social media. So this now is my folder that I'm going to back up my footage to. So to start that process, we got the FX6 here, which was my A camera for the shoot. And what you'll notice here is I have two little pieces of tape on my camera. Let's do the top-down camera here. We have A1 and A2. So these are the cards, which I have a little piece of tape so that when I take out the card, I can put A1 on this one, A2 on this card. And that is just to make sure that I don't kind of lose my place or don't remember what card is which from which camera, things like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put A1 into ST reader on my computer. Now, a lot of people at this point will just go over to the card that pops up and drag all the footage onto the hard drive. That is what I used to do, but I have since changed after I worked as a DIT on a Hulu documentary series. And they are essentially responsible for taking the footage at the end of a production day and getting it all backed up and organized. And I, through my working of that job, learned about this program called Shotput Pro. Now, Shotput Pro is what the professionals use to back up footage. It's pretty cheap. It doesn't take longer and gives you a lot more reassurance that all of your footage got copied over to your hard drives and you didn't lose anything. It kind of has some sort of magic in the software that checks for every clip and kind of gives you a backup report so that you know everything got copied over seamlessly, and it also gives you a backup report where you can see images of every single clip that got copied over. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into my clips, high res, and create folders for each of the cards where I know I'm gonna need to put them into their backup bin. So the first I'm gonna do is I'm gonna label it like this. I'm gonna go A1, which is, camera A, card 1. I'm gonna do the date of the shoot, which was August 14th, and then I'm gonna label the camera. I know the camera for A cam and B cam, but I'm just getting into the habit in case I was ever sending to someone who was color correcting and they needed to know kind of which camera I was shooting on, things like that. So I label it like that. So that's the first folder. Then we have A camera card 2, and then we have B camera card 1, and that was shot on an A7S3, and then we have a B camera card 2. Okay, now I'm gonna go over to Shotput Pro, that program I was just talking about, and all I have to do is I gotta drag the card, my A1 card. I'm gonna say copy from that to, I'm gonna find my high res folder, to my A1 card, and then I go up here to the right and just go play. And then what you'll see it doing here is it's sending the footage to the hard drive where it says replication. Then it's gonna go through a verification process to make sure that everything that was intended to be copied over was indeed copied over. And then it's gonna produce also a report for me. All right, we are 19 minutes later and Shotput Pro has done its thing. So you'll see the 4 green bars there, meaning everything transferred perfectly. If we go over into my project folder, we'll go towards clips. Again, just look at what we just did. Everything will be right here. And Shotput Pro gives you an untitled report. I guess I could title it, but I always just have an untitled report, which if we click into, it gives us information about every single clip that has been transferred over. So it says the size of replication, how long that took, the number of video files on the card, and you can see little clips of everything you shot, which is one of my favorite things at the end of a long documentary shoot, is to kind of look back at this little job report and get to see like a highlight reel of your day through these little thumbnail images. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go through that same process with Shotput Pro for every one of the 4 cards that I shot on. Okay, so we just finished up backing up the last of the 4 cards, and now the final step of the process is to plug in that duplicated backup drive into the computer, after which I will be prompted by the software Carbon Copy Cloner if I want to clone the duck drive, because we set up that task earlier. It says, would you like to run the duck backup task? We'll say start task. It's a lot of tasks. So here's our little window here in the Carbon Copy Cloner software. It's gonna show us exactly what's happening, and we'll see when the hard drive has been fully backed up. And that is really it when it comes to backing up all the footage after a shoot. The only thing that I will do additionally when I'm bringing my footage into Premiere to start my project is I will create proxy files. If you're interested in seeing my proxy file process and how I use those, why I use those, drop a comment and just let me know. Before we wrap up today, I want to tell you about my backup pouch that I teased at the beginning of this video. This is something I bring on every shoot when I'm working as a DP, where I am tasked with filming all day and then passing off my footage at the end of the day. And the use case for this, why I built this kit, is because numerous times, a bunch of times, I got to the end of shoots and I was going to pass off the footage to the director or producer. They'd bring out their computer, I'd give them my card, and it would turn out that they didn't have the ports or the cords needed to actually get the files off my memory card and onto their hard drive. And that's when we'd have this awkward moment of like, okay, do you want me to take the footage? Do I send it then over online? Or do you want to come to my house later that night and grab the footage off my hard drive? It just gets really convoluted. And so I built this kit so that no matter what computer the person has at the end of the day, I am able to help them help me get my footage from the memory card over to their hard drives in their computer. So here are the innards of this. It's not too pretty, but it's got essentially a bunch of different cords in here that can be used for pretty much any type of computer. A couple of the main features of this kit is this little pro-grade CF Express and SD card reader. So this is something that you can plug different types of cards into. So say I'm on a shoot where I'm shooting on an SD card, but someone else is shooting on a CF Express card. I can take this little card reader and, plug it directly into a computer. So this allows not only my cards, but other people's cards. If there's other shooters, or if I'm at the end of the day having a B cam shooter on my production, I can get their cards and get it onto my computer. And then I just have like all the little Apple dongles that everyone hates because they keep changing what the ports look like, including this one that I use all the time, which is kind of like a USB input that then goes into a USB-C. So I would really encourage you to start to put together a little backup kit, because you will run into the circumstance where at the end of the day, you don't have what you need to get your footage off your memory cards and onto a hard drive, and it's gonna make the end of that shoot day, which when you're really ready to just head home and go relax, it's gonna extend that by a number of hours while everyone tries to figure out how do we get the footage. I'll put links to a couple of these particular cords that I use a lot of the time in the description of this video in case you're curious to check out any of them yourself. All right, that's it for this video. Drop a comment, if you will, with your process. How is it looking different, or how is it looking similar to mine? And I'll see you back here next week, where we'll move from this technical in the weeds deep dive into a higher level discussion of two core themes of effective storytelling: loss and power, and how you can leverage them in your documentary films. Until then, go out and tell some stories.